and you're very welcome to a very special GC50 event. And as you know, Griffith College is 50 years old. But maybe what you didn't know is where it started. And it all started at a table not dissimilar to this, where President Dermot Hegarty gave professional accountancy students grinds. And today we still honour that tradition, where we have platinum ACCA tuition status, and we've invited along some fairly recent ACCA students, and we're going to have a chat about all things ACCA, and we might even mention Griffith College while we're at it. So can we start by introducing ourselves?
Yeah, so my name is Janet Norris, and I sat my last ACCA exam in March 2023. I'm recently qualified.
You're very welcome, Janet.
Hi, I'm Karen Coffey, and I sat my last exam in December 22, so I am fully qualified accountant.
Well done, Karen.
Hi Paula, I'm Robin Verhagen. I sat my last exam just this Wednesday gone, so hopefully I'm a qualified accountant.
You will absolutely be. Well done.
And hi Paula, my name is Mandy Hogan, and I sat my last ACCA exam in December 2023, so recently qualified.
You're all very, very welcome. And you know, these exams, they're not easy. They're probably, I think, I know I'm biased, the hardest professional accountancy exams out there. So what made us, and what was the pull factor in these exams? And I'm going to start, Robin. What made you decide to, first of all, maybe become an accountant, and why ACCA?
So to answer that, I probably have to go back to almost secondary school time when I didn't go to college after school, much to the horror of my family. My family is largely based in Holland. I don't have any family in Ireland. And, you know, they're scientists or statisticians or mathematicians, or, you know, everybody has a profession or a doctor. And it was just unheard of that a Verhagen wouldn't go to college. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just decided to go into the workforce. I started working, started making some progress, got promoted, and then decided to do a master's in business while I was working. And then after that, I sort of moved into a finance type role. Yeah. And I did a postgraduate diploma in business finance with another provider. And it just, something about it just grabbed me. I thought, I really enjoy this. And I'm working finance anyway. It just makes perfect sense for me to become an accountant. The company was very supportive, liked the idea. And I suppose maybe not going to college straight after school, I always felt like I had something to prove, maybe.
Well, you certainly made up for it.
So, so it's been a lot of years, but I really did it because, you know, I wanted to develop the sort of thought process that an accountant had. I wanted to be able to think like that. I wanted the credibility.
And why ACCA, Robin?
So I was looking at the different I looked at all the different and spoke to actually several different accountants, because, as you know, they're very competitive about their and it meant nothing to me because I was like they were all just letters to me. So when I went and did my research, what I really liked about ACCA was probably the sort of global nature of it. I could go anywhere with it. It was recognised everywhere. It had a nice broad sort of width across all the different subjects, and there was a bit of choice in the professional exam, so it ticked a lot of boxes.
Very well
I just
respected
thought it was
too.
a solid one.
And I'll come to you, Mandy. What was your pull factor?
I started out, I suppose, in my early 20s doing accounting technician. And I was working in the accounts department at the time, and I really loved it. And I was like, I really like this. And like Robin, I decided, you know, I didn't know the difference between any of the accounting professions or any of the accounting exams. But when I looked up, you know, which one will I do? ACCA was the one that I picked. And I said, and for those reasons, it was global. There was so much room, so much scope in it. I didn't realise they were hard exams at the time. I was like, we'll go and see how long we can go and see how many we can do. And I had to. And during the journey, I suppose there was a few ins and outs, and I was like, no, I'm gonna. This is what I want. This is really what I want. I want to be a qualified accountant.
You made the right choice.
Yeah.
What about you, Karen?
Well, I had children very young. I have twin girls, and I didn't
First
get
of all,
the opportunity.
how old are your girls?
They're 19. They'll be 20 this year.
See, to me, you look 19. I don't know how you have 19-year-old
Well, unfortunately, I do have 19-year-old twin girls. So that meant I didn't get the opportunity to go to college straight away. So I started working like yourself, and I was always in finance roles.
Yeah.
So when my children came of age, when they were in secondary school and they were coming up to say like fourth year, I wanted to prove something to myself that I knew that I could do it. I knew that I could be good at doing accountancy because it was a role I always done. So, and like that with the ACCA, there was other options for me. I could have went down to CPA or whatever else. But ACCA to me, like that, it was globally recognised.
Yeah.
It was a really important degree, and I wanted to make sure that I'd done the best because I left it for so long, and with myself being older, so that I would have future careers.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping for.
How about you, Jan?
I suppose contrary to the other stories, mine was probably more the direct route. So I did commerce in college.
Yeah.
And I suppose the reason I probably went down the commerce route was because finishing my Leaving Cert, I probably wasn't sure what I wanted to be. And coming from a household where both my parents were self-employed and have their own businesses, I suppose I was always around people like in the business world and seeing even accounts growing up, whatever, my mum preparing the accounts for the accountant, whatever, on a small scale. And coming out of commerce, I was probably in a similar situation. I didn't know what I wanted. I did love accounting in school and in college, so I went on to study my ACCA exams, and I did a graduate programme through IFAC Accountants. It's a practice. So yeah, and more experience I kind of got then, I realised I love, like, majority of accountants people have the perception of accountants that they're boring accountants, they're sitting behind a computer screen all day long. But the more experience I got in practice, I realised I want to be out there with clients. I want to be client facing. I want to be on the phone to them. I want to be talking, like, and I'm sure everyone that knows me will back that up. I love talking. So yeah, I went down the route of being a practice accountant, and I'm still doing that today.
Very good. And you love it, obviously.
I love it, yeah.
And Mandy, just coming back to you, so just thinking in terms of where we are, like with our families, and I know you had a family, and you know, so how was that for everybody? Like,
so when I started out, I didn't. I did my accountancy technician. There was me, and then I loved that, and I said, right, no, I want to be an accountant, so I'm going to do the ACCA. And I started out doing the first couple exams, and that was fine. But in between, I got married, and I now have 3 children. Well, they're nearly grown up. I have a 20-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a soon-to-be 16-year-old. But my middle guy, he has congenital scoliosis, so he was quite sick as a child. So I had to stop in between and take some time out to look after him. But the pull of wanting to be qualified and wanting to have that qualification and just it was so strong, I had to go back. So as soon as he got well enough and he was fine and a bit more independent, I decided, no, I have to go back. I want to finish this. For me, it wasn't that I had to do it, and there was no...
Because I don't think you needed it for your job,
no,
particularly.
No.
It was just something you did for Mandy.
Yeah. No, I didn't need it. There was no pressure on me from anybody else to do it. But it's hard to explain the pull towards it. It was like, no, I internally had to do it.
No, I totally get
prove
that.
for myself, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about, and did you get good support, actually, Mandy?
I did. My family were extremely supportive.
You have to say
my
that.
Job. But even my job, even work were extremely supportive. You know, there was no, you need to do this or you don't need to do this. They were like, if you want to, you go do it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What about you, Robin?
Yeah, I had a similar sort of experience from a work point of view, because it was something I wanted to do. You know, there was nothing riding on it, so I didn't sort of feel under pressure. And I had kids quite young as well, so interestingly, my daughter's in college at the minute, so we're both sitting exams at the same time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But my daughter's 20. But I suppose my family were probably used to me being, because I'd done the masters and then I jumped straight into postgrad, and then. But I think it is something that people potentially underestimate, how much support you need, because it's not just you sacrificing,
So last
everybody is
Wednesday,
sacrificing.
you sat an exam on Wednesday.
Yes.
So, so I would imagine you might have been slightly difficult to live with, or do you just keep an even keel coming up to exams?
No, it's a very predictable pattern, and everybody at home is.
Do they just avoid you, or what do they do?
Yeah, it's. I think they go from avoiding you to wanting to strangle you, over and back, and even that probably lasts for another week. When you have the post-exam jitters, and then it goes, and then you're back.
But you're finished now.
Yes.
And off on holidays tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning.
Oh,
absolutely.
lovely. Nice.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And what about you, Karen?
Yeah, I like that. Work was very supportive of me. They sponsored me to do the ACCA. First of all, I started with the ATI. And I done that. And when I done the ATI, I done that to see whether I'd be able for it or not.
Yeah.
And when I was able for the ATI, the progression was the ACCA.
Yeah.
And work sponsored me. And I was very lucky. My husband is really, really good and very, very supportive. So
Yeah.
he literally took over everything for me.
Brilliant.
And he done it. So the way I used to work it was I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'd go into work because I did start work at 8:30. So I'd do
Wow.
my studying from 5 to 8:30. And then do my classes in the evening and then some studying at the weekends. That's how I used to do it. So instead of my family having to avoid me, I avoided my family. So my husband was left doing everything at home. So I was lucky
That's
in
such
that
a good like routine to get up early in the morning,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because you're giving the best part of the day to yourself,
Yeah.
personally.
And I always found in the evening I was exhausted.
Yeah.
So by the time, like I wouldn't, like if I had to do classes or try and study or do some questions,
Yeah.
I would have went in one ear and out the other. So
Yeah.
anyone that's going through the ACCA, I always recommend
Yeah.
that they try and get up earlier because your brain is more focused.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you, Janet?
Yeah, I suppose different to the guys. Like I don't have any children, so there wasn't as much pressure on me in terms of.
Did your parents put pressure on
Yeah,
you?
yeah, but like in terms of dependence on me,
Oh,
like I
yes,
was
yeah.
fitting my life in around
Yeah.
the exams and stuff like that. Now, I definitely could have not gone on some nights out and not gone on holidays
Yeah.
and put things aside, which I
Yeah.
didn't do, probably, to be honest. So I lived my life as much as I could while doing my
Great, why
exams,
not? Yeah.
and I think it was the only way I would have got through my exams.
Yeah.
Now, as you said,
You had
like-
to have the downtime.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I needed that break from my own brain.
Yeah.
Like you said, my parents were obviously putting pressure on me. I was living at home when I started my exams. So yeah, my parents had put up with the the downsides of
Yeah.
stresses and the tears
No,
before
we're
exams.
all like
and-
that. Yeah, you're not
the
alone.
emotional side.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I kind of finished them out, then I was living with my partner. So like that again, like he's brilliant. Like he's a housewife, so he does the cook and clean and the whole lot. So even to this day, so yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's brilliant to have that support. And my job was amazing. Like they supported me right throughout. In terms of paying for my exams, time off, even help. Like it's great to be able to throw ideas and questions off colleagues and stuff like that. Like they've all been through these exams before, be it ACCA or any other
It makes
professional
such a
exams.
difference, doesn't it?
helps.
You have a bit of support.
Yeah, exactly. Because
absolutely,
practical
yeah.
experience is
Yeah.
brilliant, and it might
Yeah.
help you learn something if there's an anecdote that they can
Yeah.
tell you or whatever on like
know.
a certain.
It makes it more
question that-
interesting.
Exactly.
It brings
Yeah,
it to
yeah,
life.
yeah.
And just staying with yourself, like, did you have any particular obstacles? Was there anything that you could highlight? Did you have any
Yeah.
bumpy road?
I
Or
suppose not even an obstacle, but in March 2021, I was meant to sit an exam, but my mum actually got very sick just beforehand. She had cancer. So now she's perfect today.
Great.
But she was having an operation the week before I was meant to sit an exam. So I actually deferred that exam until the June so that I was there to help her or whatever, because I was the only one at home at the time. My siblings were all married with kids and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so I
so it
was
fell
going-
to you, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was probably the main obstacle I had during it. So it was I had to defer an exam, which thankfully she's perfect today. Like,
I
so
know, and you
was
got
really-
over it, and
Yeah,
you
exactly. I
lived to tell
got
the
my
tale.
exams done. So yeah, that was probably the main obstacle I had throughout it.
yeah. And did you have a very plain? Did you fly through all of your
Not
exams, or-
necessarily. As I said, I didn't like. I was young. I was in my early 20s when I was doing my exams, so I didn't put off nights out or holidays with the girls or whatever. I got on with my life.
you're only young
so
once.
I definitely failed exams, and like I didn't do the straight pass. It took me 3.5 years to finish out my exams, if not even 4 even. So yeah, I failed a few on the way and had to repeat them a
But you
second
don't
time.
think
and
it's
stuff.
character building?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you definitely learn something.
I'm very much a person that I'm so determined. Like if I've said something 3 times, I'm not going to pull out. Like I'm not going to
You're
give
going
up.
to get it,
Like
yeah.
I'm very much like I'll get to the end no matter what I have to do to get there. So I suppose I'm stubborn. Is what the word you could use. But yeah, that's probably got me to the end. Yeah.
Brilliant. What about yourself, Karen? Did you have any obstacles?
The obstacles, I think, was more the pressure I put on myself.
Yeah.
Because I was older, I wanted to get them done as fast as I could.
Yeah.
And with the ATI, I only got 4 exemptions, so I had 9 exams to sit.
Yeah.
So what I done was I done an exam every 3 months.
Wow,
So it was
did you?
constant.
Fair play.
Yeah, I literally put as much pressure on myself as I could. Like that though, at the beginning I done like 2 or 3 at a time and
Yeah.
failed
Yeah.
1 or whatever. So I know how hard it is to fail, to try and push yourself to get back into it again. And there was times when I'd say, that's it, if I don't pass this exam, I'm done, I'm not going to try anymore. But no, got it, we're at the end of the road now and I'm qualified. So yeah, happy out. But yeah, every 3 months is quite difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
I didn't have any issues like that, but probably because I didn't put myself under too much pressure than doing too many together. But I am terrified of failing an exam. Like, I have so much admiration for anyone who has failed an exam and got back. Like, I've never failed an exam, and the thoughts of not get, that keeps me awake at night. So the pressure.
Is that why you overstudy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you do
probably
over-prepare.
over-prepare
Yeah.
and then sometimes overthink because
Yeah.
I'm so scared to fail that
Yeah.
I'd probably do too much. So
Yeah, that's
it wasn't really an
interesting.
obstacle, but it puts a lot of pressure, and that's
Oh, it
added
is
pressure
an
at home
obstacle,
because
it
you're
is, yeah.
a couple of weeks before the exam, you're just
Oh,
you're in your own
Fair
world.
play to you. And what about yourself?
Yeah, I've had my failures in ACCA as well, and you've had to dig deep to keep
Yeah.
going and keep going.
I suppose your obstacle is your middle child. as you
Yeah,
were saying
yeah,
earlier,
he was always in and out. Actually, the June when we were doing advanced tax in June 22, and Harry was due. He was going for his operation at the end of June.
Yeah.
It was a big major operation, so I was studying for that and trying to put that to the back of my mind, the worries of him going for that operation. I got COVID the day before we were due to sit our exam, so that put me on a back foot, and that, I think, really knocked my confidence at that stage.
Yeah,
It
that was hard
really,
because you were so well prepared.
Yeah.
And then the day before,
Yeah.
to get the call.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do it.
yeah,
Oh.
I was so sick.
And as I said, you would have definitely have passed.
Oh,
that.
I was so sick, and it really just knocked me. It was
Yeah.
like, am I able? Can I keep going on this? Can I keep going on this journey? But once I got over that, and once I got over the summer, and Harry was fine, I was straight back in. I was like, I am doing this. I'm getting this. This is not going to beat me. But I'm a bit like yourself. I'm a bit stubborn, this is not going to get the better of me. I'm going to keep going. So I am very determined and very stubborn like that as well,
And you said you have the accounting technician exams.
Yeah.
So you got exemptions.
I got exemptions, but I took the exemption on there's an IT paper very low early on in the first three. I took the exemption for that one, but I didn't take the exemptions for the others.
Even though you got them, you didn't take them.
I didn't take them, no.
Wow, why not?
Because there was a gap in between, and I was a bit afraid that
The step up, was it?
Yeah, because there is a big step up,
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, do you
Yeah,
think
there is
yeah.
a big step up between the and even we were talking earlier about FR and SBR, and if you
Yeah.
don't do FR and you go straight to SBR, like I don't know how people do that.
So what was your first ACCA exam that you sat?
It was financial accounting.
Okay. And how did you find that?
That was fine.
Yeah.
It was
That
absolutely
would have been
the earlier
similar to
to the
competition,
yeah. They were actually fine.
Yeah.
I think where it started getting harder for me was when it got into the later on papers. When
professionals.
the professionals, they were.
Much harder.
But I was so happy that I had done the lowdown papers.
Yeah.
Because that absolutely gave me my knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found I was much more confident going into professional papers, but because I'm the type of person, I'm no good when it comes to multiple choice because I'm an overthinker. So when there's 4 answers in front of me, I'm like, is it this one, is that one? And in the end, I just guess.
Yeah.
So passing them papers was nearly a miracle. So when I went into the professional and I could do case studies, I was happy out. I was like, yes, this is for me.
Yeah.
But it is a great foundation, the accounting
100%,
It really
yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
Robin, you did all of the exams, didn't you? Or you had some exemptions from your
No,
master's.
I did I think accountant and business is the very first one. I didn't bother with that. I hadn't because that was really basic. But I started off with what's the one before? There are 2 at that level then, which is management accounting,
Management accounting,
financial
yeah.
accounting.
Yeah.
So I did those,
Yeah.
and again, like I was doing accounting to learn the thought process, to learn accounting, and I also thought if you're sticking with one organisation the whole way through,
Yeah.
they want you to perform in a certain way in exams. So if you learn that by doing all their exams, by the time you get to the end ones, you're going to be programmed to do things the way they want you to do them. So it's got to be easier, as opposed to coming out with a commerce degree and then suddenly you just, it's like shell shock when you look
interesting,
at those. I was it was used
And
to
did you
it.
find a step up at any stage as you went through the levels? Did you find any of them, oh my God, I didn't realise it was going to be this tricky? Maybe in the final level, are we okay?
No,
did you
I
find the
actually
progression
thought the
fair?
final ones were, they're very different.
Yeah,
Do you know,
yeah,
and
it's a
they're
nicer
actually, if you
different.
know your stuff and you're well prepared, they're actually in a way better because you know, there's more, you have to do more sort of analysis, and there's more common sense and thinking. It's not just, is it A, B, C or D?
Yeah, yeah.
Just on that point as well, like I took my exemptions from my degree in college or whatever, and like that again, like there's obviously pros with taking exemptions. You've less exams to do, get it done quicker or whatever.
Yeah.
But my professional exams nearly picked themselves because of my exemptions. Like I was exempt from performance management, and I did not enjoy financial management at all.
Yeah.
So when I came to my professional exams, then I wasn't going to do advanced financial management. I hadn't the basic performance management done, so tax and audit almost picked themselves for me. So you probably don't get that.
Are you saying you didn't pick tax because?
Oh no, I love tax, but but yeah, it did kind of, it was my only options at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was exempt. I had exemptions, and I have to say I did find it. I struggled actually at first. I thought, oh my God, these are really, really hard. These exams. You don't, and I see that in students coming in, you know, to the lecture room. I think, wow, if you've got exemptions, it is tough. You know, but tax normally is one of the last ones that they do. But yeah, no, it can be tough. And I was going to ask you, what was your worst? Not worst. What was your most favourite subject and your least favourite subject, and why? And starting with you, Mandy.
Well, I would have to say the tax was my favourite subject.
That's the right answer.
I have to say tax was my favourite subject. The toughest subject for me was the audit. That was really tough because I felt you're switching from, you know, even though you have to have all your financial reporting knowledge, but going from that and then seeing it from the audit perspective and then having all the audit rules as well. So that was really, really tough for me. But I loved tax.
And how did you choose your option subjects?
I think for me, I just liked tax anyway. I just liked tax. And in my role, because I'm in industry, and I deal with outside accountants and outside auditors as well, I think for me it was
to be able to hold your own.
Yeah, I wanted to know what they're thinking. I wanted to know what their knowledge is. So the audit for me was just a natural thing, you know, especially I suppose because I'm in industry, I'm not in banking. I think if I was in banking, I probably would have went down the performance management or that road. But no, I wanted to know what they know.
Yeah, absolutely. My favourite subject is tax, obviously, but I think I like stories.
Yeah.
And I like the case studies, and I love, because I think tax, so this is about you guys and I'm talking, but I think the tax is, if we use it, like who's going to stop you in the middle of the street and say, I have a quick auditing question. But everybody wants to know about their capital acquisition tax. Somebody's leaving me this. Nobody's going to ask you. And what about yourself, Robin? And you don't have to say tax, by the way, lads. Obviously. No.
My favourite subject, I think, was financial management. Both the advanced financial management and the other one. It's the most, to me, forward-looking, and you know, it's not looking back and doing accounts. It's looking at investments, valuing companies, doing investment appraisal. And that was very closely related to what I do at work. And that's I like that. It's like accounting, but thinking ahead. So probably for that reason, my least favourite was performance management. I didn't like some of it was pretty boring, to be honest, and some of it was also I didn't like the infinite variety of questions. You could get one question and it's so easy, and then you get another question and it's just impossible. And it was just an infinite way that they could mix stuff up, and it wasn't for me.
And how did you choose your options? Because you had an idea of what you liked, or you wanted something closely related to your work?
Well, I did advanced financial management, that was option one, because I liked it, and I did tax because, pretty much for the reason you said, it's so practical for your everyday life, and it's also rules based, and like I have quite a good memory, so I can learn rules. So I found that with SBR, I could just learn the rules, and then I did.
Because once you know the conditions, that's the key. Robin said that he was out one night with pals for dinner, and he found himself. They were talking about some family whose name, a famous Irish business family, and he was they were discussing them, you know, what they were doing, and here he was. Oh, they're probably doing that because of that relief. That relief.
That happens too often. You think?
Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it?
Or you find yourself on a night out and, or like in the office.
It's the unsolicited tax advice. You just can't stop
it. The other thing I was at the office, like you'd be talking with some celebrity or you could talk about anything, you'd be like, I'm going to search them now and search for less and see what their company's name is and what the structure of their company. And it's like, who cares? But
And
yeah,
that
accounting
bonus of the
Yeah.
ACCA qualification, that you can absolutely understand all that. And what about you, Karen? And Karen, I have to mention that Karen actually lectures. So she works full time, but she's actually lectures in Griffith College on her undergrad programme. And she's also a mock corrector. So Karen has actually continued on. So I'm sure you're going to say tax. is your
Obviously,
favourite
I'm going to say
subject. Yeah.
tax, but just to make it a little bit different, I liked SBL as well. That was one of my favourite
Did
subjects.
you?
SBL. I liked the management end of it, the business end of it.
Yeah.
So I was happy, and that was one of the first professional exams
Yeah.
that I took. So that's what really, really got me into it.
Yeah.
And for my choices then, I went tax because tax has just been a passion of mine. It's
Yeah.
always like I'd sit here and I'd talk about tax all day long. Absolutely no problem doing that. And then the next one I picked was audit. Hated audit. Absolutely hated
I
audit.
think they're just opposite, aren't
But
they?
it's not that. I had no choice because I hated performance management and financial management. So it was my only option.
Yeah.
It was like it was tax and audit, and that's what was happening.
And have you any advice for SBL? That's interesting because some people really struggle with SBL.
I
So
think
what's your
I was
advice?
lucky with SBL. It just clicked with me. Like when I was reading a scenario, it was just popping off the page for me. And I don't know, because I was working in industry as well, where I was looking after the business.
Yeah.
So it was kind of me there running the finance end of it, the office end of it.
Yeah.
So it made sense to me. And I think that's what really, really helped.
So do you think having experience
Yes.
helps? Yeah.
That's
I'd
it.
agree
Oh,
with that
absolutely,
very
yeah.
much. I
Yeah.
think
Really?
it's
Yeah.
very hard to teach. The SBL exam and CIMA have one similar-ish.
Yeah.
And it's, a case-based, and if you don't have commercial acumen in
Yeah.
real life business,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's very hard to be
Yeah.
able to, you can't really teach it. You have to
Yeah.
just go and live it,
Yeah.
and then you're
Yeah.
able to do it.
Yeah.
And then
And
if you're not able to
understand
do
it.
it,
Pick it off, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
very
think you
difficult.
can teach it. I think if you have the right lecturer, you can teach. You can teach them to pass the exam in any case.
Oh yeah, of course you can. You
Yeah.
can teach anybody to pass an exam.
Yeah.
But it's whether
get
they
your point.
retain that information or
Yeah,
not.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And what about yourself?
I'm actually going to go with the exact same subjects.
Yes. Wow.
Tax would definitely be my favourite. And probably because I was working in a practice, so you're using tax every day of the week. Like in a practice, as also that a lot of small, medium enterprises. So the end goal of accounts is to reduce their tax bill and not to have like obviously you go larger companies and you want their gross profit to be as high as possible. Whereas in smaller companies, you just want to reduce their tax bill.
Yeah,
Like so,
absolutely, yeah.
I suppose it's practical. And like you were saying as well, like it's every day. Everyone, like I'd often get texts from friends, whatever. I'm like, there's something wrong with tax credits. Can you log
Yeah,
into my account
I know.
and start it for me? Or just day-to-day things, whatever. And it's you use and you think about it always. Like you're saying, like CAT and CGT. Like it happens to everyone at some stage in their life. Like as I say, the saying goes, debt and taxes are the only
Yeah,
two things that you
absolutely.
can guaranteed in life.
Yeah.
So
And there's
Yeah.
stories, aren't they? Like
Yeah,
everyone
exactly.
has a story to tell,
Yeah.
and that's where kind of that fits into.
yeah.
And I found when I was doing, I started lecturing and I had the first day class I had, and it was a Saturday. And what I was doing was CGT and CT. No one was interested in that. Everyone was asking me about CAT, and I was like, this is not on your syllabus,
Yeah.
but this is the answer. This is the answer. It happened yesterday. Everybody is interested in CAT. What can I get in inheritance?
Yeah.
What money can I get off?
Yeah.
And everything.
And nobody's interested in that.
Oh no, I think that
The eyes
it's gone.
glaze
Yeah.
over. Yeah. And you know what? We've all studied like in various ways. So it's really changed the face of how we study ACCA. So in the olden days, we had to be in classrooms. And I can remember in classrooms here, and some of the lecturers, some of them still here, fantastic lecturers. But how were you ever in the real world, or were you always remote, Mandy?
No, I was in when I started out on the journey first. It was lectures. It was at the campus in town, and
So
that's
you had to travel in
So I went
after work.
travelled into work,
Yeah.
and then I'd leave work and then head up for my lecture, and it was good. It was good because you were focused and you were in there.
Yeah.
I suppose being remote now, and at my stage in life, it suited me then.
Yeah.
But my key about remote learning is turn up for the live lectures, be there on time. You know, really, I was afraid to miss a live lecture because if I missed that, I felt
so
I was
hard to go back.
catching up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my big discipline for me, was make sure I was there, you know, for the remote live lecture. But it fitted in really well
You
with
prefer the
me.
remote.
I did
Yeah.
now at this stage. Yeah, I definitely did. I think if my younger self preferred to go into the college,
Yeah.
because you're more disciplined to go in, and you're in the room and you're focused in the room. But life lessons now, I'm able to cope with remote. Yeah.
And what about yourself, Robin?
So one of the reasons I actually picked Griffith was because they had bricks and mortar premises, and it wasn't just online. And I had a real thing about going into the classroom. If I go in, I can ask questions.
You live in the West, don't you?
Yeah, so I went into Limerick.
Yeah.
I started out with Richard in Limerick, actually. He was my first tutor.
Was he?
He was indeed. And I really liked the classroom dynamic, and I was, if I like that, try to always go, but if I missed one, I'd watch a recording and I'd have a question and then I'd have nowhere to ask it. As
Lots
you know,
of
Paula,
questions.
I like to ask questions. So it didn't really work for me. And then COVID came along and there was no choice. But then when Zoom and Teams, those things came out and we could send messages or we could unmute ourselves and talk. Once that element came into it, then I really liked the practicality, because I have a home office, like we have an actual office set up at home. So it's very easy for me. I have a nice quiet space. I can, it's the same place every day. And I just thought the online lectures were brilliant. So I was really converted.
Looking back now, so you went to the real lectures in Limerick, Griffith College, and then to Zoom. So what do you prefer?
Now Zoom, purely because I don't have to drive somewhere.
Yes.
I'm getting home late. It's hard to go to sleep then after. You have to unwind and everything, and it's just it takes less out of
It can be
your
hard
day.
to unwind after a Zoom, I think a Zoom lecture too.
Because you're not leaving the house then either, so you don't have that break.
I
find the car journey
That wind down.
winds down after a day's work or whatever.
That's one thing I miss about, but it is so handy, the Zoom, I have to say. What about yourself, Karen? Did you ever do in the real world?
At the ATI, I done all of them in the classroom. They were all classroom based, and then COVID kicked in. So then all the rest was done on Zoom. But like that, I needed to be able to ask a question if I wasn't sure of something. But what I found fantastic about you as a lecturer, Paula, is you have the WhatsApp group. But you have the WhatsApp group. But it's not only that you're there to help us, but we're all there as a team.
Yeah.
We can all help each other collectively. And I just think that makes a huge benefit for us.
It's trying to get it interactive, and you have to work as a lecturer really hard to make an online lecture like interactive and get people to turn their cameras on. That's the key. Cameras on and ask questions.
But you nearly have to focus on them. You nearly have to call them by name because nobody is volunteering to come out and give you the answer or anything.
You haven't been in Robin's
You're
class.
working out your class.
I would have to say, Robin.
She told me to shut up.
No, it is. But some people, you'd always get one or two characters. You have to have a character every term. You don't always get one. But, it's fantastic when you do. It makes the fun, the class. And what about was yours all online?
Mine was all online, I think personally there's pros and cons. So I would have pros being I play a lot of sports, so it suited me to actually say there was always lectures on a Wednesday night. So I had training on a Wednesday night, so I couldn't watch the lectures live. So I'd watch them back on a Thursday or Friday night then after work or whatever. So that was obviously a pro for me. I didn't have to give up any sports or give up or not go to training.
And what speed would you watch them back at? Now tell the truth.
Might have watched them back at 1.5.
1.5.
I was being the lecturer. But there's obviously there is cons then as well. I think I would have loved the structure around being in a classroom, getting to know other students and stuff like that. And maybe that's my age profile as well, and the fact I don't have dependents and children. I can definitely understand why you'd want to do remote. You have children at home, you can if you need to get up off the desk and get them their dinner.
Did you go to the workshops?
Yes, I absolutely loved them. Because it was a break then as well, because you're doing your remote learning, but you can go then, it was 1-2 workshops during our tax lectures. So no, that was amazing. And again, I'd reiterate.
But you know what's surprising? And I think that's great because you get to meet each other.
But it's networking.
It's networking.
That's it.
That's what I'm saying. Mandy was myself, Mandy and Grace were in the same class, and we still know each other. If you met each other on the street, you'd be talking to each other, which is
absolutely.
great.
But you know what always amazes me? When you walk into the workshop and there's no cameras, it's not recorded, people are on their phones. And you come all this way to meet people in the real world, and there you are, you're on social media. But I think that's just the way we are as people now.
I think it's
but once the first break comes, where are you now?
Yeah.
How many subjects have you got?
Yeah.
And who are you going to for this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I
So-
did love is that you came to Cork as well for them.
Yeah, well, I love Cork. I do love Cork. But I might go to Limerick. That's on the agenda at some stage. Yeah, it's quite good that Griffith College has the 3 campuses.
Yeah.
And can I ask you, but it's probably a good lead in, and Mandy, I'll probably ask you first. Why did you choose Griffith College? Why Griffith College?
I had, well, number one, just a bit like you had a building, and I could go to that building
Yeah.
and do my lectures there, and I had a very good reputation at the time, and it was
At the time?
At the time,
It's only gotten better since.
and it was, it was well renowned, I think, for ACCA. It was kind of, if this is where you're going to start your journey,
Yeah.
ACCA popped up for Griffith College.
Yeah,
and
yeah. Well,
had the-
50 years of doing it, and hopefully we
yeah.
know a thing or two.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Robin?
Yeah, similar reasons, and on top of that, the platinum status.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was thinking, like ACCA, I presume do not award that lightly.
No,
so
you have to jump through. Yeah, you have to keep your pass rates up. Yeah, it's very tricky.
So
yeah.
I wanted somewhere reputable, somewhere with
Yeah.
really good lecturers, and that's why I picked Griffith.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And Karen?
And mine was similar. Like growing up, Griffith College was everybody knew for ACCA. Everybody went there. But like that, I kind of went for the lectures
Yeah.
because of their pass rates, and
Yeah.
I wanted interactive lectures, and that's what I got in Griffith College.
Yeah.
So to continue on, I actually started out with a different college.
Yeah,
But
that's okay.
The reason I changed was because the college I was doing it with, it was recorded similar to Griffith, but you've no like access to the lecture, so it's just
right.
recorded, and you get notes and stuff like that, but you've no personal aspect.
No
So-
pastoral care kind
yeah,
of.
exactly. In Griffith, you could obviously email the lecturer, ring the lecturer. We'd WhatsApp groups. Like it was
Yeah.
the personal aspect and access to a lecture and questions at
It's so
your-
important,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, it was brilliant.
And I think it helped with Griffith as well because they used the same platform as ACCA, so you got to practice that
Yeah.
before you actually went and done the exam.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I
not
think
many-
that
yeah,
makes a
that- it
huge
does.
Yeah.
You're
difference.
dead right,
And especially
Karen.
as you were saying, Paula, earlier on, where people are coming in after doing their degrees, they're still handwriting their exams.
Yeah.
So they haven't got a clue when it
Yeah.
comes to having to do
Very
the
good
Excel
point.
and
Yeah,
the Word.
Absolutely. Well, I'm a big fan of Griffith College. The support for the admin team, I have to say, is phenomenal.
brilliant.
And do you know what? I probably just our last question, and let's finish up. And do you know what? If you weren't an accountant, if you hadn't gone down that route, what would you do? We'll start with you, Mandy.
a tightrope walker. No, I do that much balancing. I actually trained to be a cabin crew member before I started out on my.
So do you know how to do all this?
Yes, I did all of this
Yeah.
and this
Yeah, brilliant.
and the exits. They train very hard. They've
I'm
lots
sure
of
they do.
exams. But yeah, no, I knew very, very quickly on that was not the road for me. Yeah, not the road for me.
What about you, Robin?
So my very first dream job was to be a farmer.
A farmer.
My neighbours were farmers, and I used to get up when I was 8 or
Think
9
of all the
years
relief
old.
you can
That's
get.
right. Yeah.
I'd be down there at 6:30, milk the cows, clean the stuff. We'd be driving the tractor.
But you could still do that.
You could, but yeah, he always said to me that the man who owned the farm, like, go to school,
Yeah.
study hard,
Yeah.
get a good job. You don't want to be a farmer. And then we didn't have land, we didn't have a farm. If it wasn't that and it was a dream job, it would be a Formula One driver or a professional race driver.
Wow.
Absolutely
Yeah,
love motorsport,
absolutely.
cars.
What about you, Karen?
Mine would be an absolute dream job. I'd love to be a philanthropist. I'd love to move over to Africa and help build schools and and hospitals and stuff. But
can do
I'd have to be a
that.
born millionaire to do that. Paula. I still have bills at home.
But you can still do that. They look for accountants. There's a special charity who specialise, and they're always asking for people to go over. And you can even spend 2 weeks helping them to set up Excel spreadsheets or something like that.
Oh, I'd absolutely love to do that. It's something that was a dream I've always had.
Oh, you'll do that.
That's a nice idea.
What about yourself?
So yeah, as I was saying, I play a lot of sports, so I'm avid, like into my health, fitness, whatever. So I would love to be, if I was to go back, be a physiotherapist.
Would you?
Yeah. I love chatting to people and
Yeah.
learning about what they do, and I'm really interested in the body and helping others. So yeah, I would like to be a physiotherapist.
Very diverse to accountancy. Yeah, and as you know, I would have wanted to be a Spice Girl. That's my secret dream. So look, thank you all very much. It was really interesting just hearing about your journey, and hopefully, people might learn. And thanks again.
Thanks,
Thank you, Paula.
You're welcome.
Thank you.